The grossly overpriced LX450D SUV is the most expensive Lexus model sold in India and is being imported as a completely built unit CBU. The SUV is heavily based on the Toyota Land Cruiser 200, which is also sold in India. The body-on-frame type SUV comes with a 4.5L V8 diesel engine making 261 bhp at 3,400 rpm and 650 Nm at 1,600-2,600 rpm, same as the Land Cruiser. The transmission duties are handled by a 6-speed torque converter automatic gearbox. Front suspension is an independent double wishbone type and the rear is solid axle sprung on steel coil spring with multiple linkages. In terms of off-road hardware, everything is carried forward as is from the Land Cruiser 200. Off-road gadgetry includes terrain modes along with the active traction control, crawl control system, ride height control, full-time AWD system with low-range gearing, but surprisingly the rear differential lock is missing on the Indian car. Interestingly, low-range gearing can be used without locking the center differential, which will be useful for high-altitude driving on hard surfaces. In terms of design, the front end is dominated by the Lexus spindle grille. The edged trapezoidal grille, which is standard across all Lexus cars, is a love it or hate it design element, and honestly, I am yet to come across someone who likes it. Looks damn weird ugly. There is very little in the side profile to differentiate it from the Land Cruiser. 18-inch Bridgestone Dueler AT tires shod on boring 5-spoke alloys. The more aesthetic 20-inchers are not even optional. Both the cars had a different make of tires. The static display car had Bridgestone Dueler AT rubber, while the review car had Yokohama Geolandar HT tires on it. The LX450D has to be the one of the widest cars on the road. Driving it on narrow lanes will need some experience. All lights including the headlights, fog lamps and the cornering lights are powered by LEDs. Plenty of L-shaped design elements integrated, including the fog lamp and cornering lamp enclosures. The rear end looks familiar too. Trademark L-shaped tail lamps and the Lexus logo are the only reminders that this is not a Land Cruiser. In moderately narrow winding roads like this one in Ooty, the mighty LX450D occupied almost all the road. The dashboard is a big step up from the Toyota Land Cruiser in terms of quality and the luxury feel, but if you compare the LX to its competitors like the Range Rover LWB Autobiography, the Lexus doesn't even come close. The seating position is pretty high, the visibility is excellent for the front and the sides even with the driver's seat set at its lowest position. Save for the fake wooden inserts, the complete dashboard and some areas of the front door pads are covered in leather. No, the large display screen isn't a touchscreen although it looks like one. It is operated by using a multimedia controller located on the center console. The LX can be customized using various color options for the interiors and exteriors. Personally, I like the black-colored interiors over the beige ones. View from the rear seat. Check out the width of the center armrest. The front occupants sit too far apart. In terms of width, this must be one of the widest cabins I have ever seen. The center console buttons are a notch smaller in size and thus, a little inconvenient to operate in a moving car. The piano black finish looks swell. Controls for the height adjustment, terrain modes, crawl control, front seat ventilation and multimedia system are all placed on the center console. The storage below the center armrest is a refrigerated cooler. The LX450D comes with steering-mounted paddle shifters. The high-placed XXL-sized ventilated seats are supremely comfortable and offer good side bolstering plus underhigh support. Driven. The Lexus Range S300h, RX450h and LX450D-17. JPG. The extra-wide cabin and flat rear seat ensure that the fifth occupant is reasonably comfortable. Rear seats get these huge displays mounted behind the front seat backs. No, they aren't touchscreen either. The display, although huge, has a surprisingly basic resolution and looks out of place in such an expensive car, and because they are not touch-based displays, the only way to operate them is using this remote. In this era of high-resolution displays, this system with a remote operation and limited utility is not done. These massive ORVMs offer an excellent field of view, much required for driving this huge SUV in tight traffic. LED cabin lamps feature a touch-based operation. The rear tailgate opens in two parts, similar to the Land Cruiser. While the bottom hatch is operated manually, the top hatch opens and closes with a touch of a button. The split tailgate with the upholstered surface is great for outdoor camping. Shockingly, there is no 7-seater option for the LX450D. The Lexus team suggested that a variant with the petrol engine is expected in the future, which will have a 7-seater arrangement. The last row of seats on the Land Cruiser is pretty spacious and comfortable. For now, you will have to make do with this luggage space cover. The LX 450D is the odd one out here in the Lexus range, NGE. It's the only car in the lineup with a diesel engine, and the a massive 4.5-liter V8. This is also the only car here to get a conventional torque converter automatic transmission, as the others get a CVT. The engine bay is neatly organized. 2 pneumatic struts support the heavy bonnet. Like the older Toyota designs, the intercooler is top-mounted. The 1VDF-TV V8 engine has 2 variable geometry turbos and 32 valves with dual overhead camshafts. This diesel is in fact the first V8 diesel engine produced by Toyota and has been around in the Land Cruiser 200 series since 10 years now. The monster V8 engine has a sweet engine note, with a super sweet idle. Although a little noisy outside, heavy sound dampening in the cabin ensures that the clatter stays out and just the sweet humming sound filters into the cabin. The engine idle speed is at around 500 revolutions per minute, but the revs are raised to 750 revolutions per minute as soon as the AC compressor starts. This constant rise and drop in the revs sounds a little strange. While the engine size and the torque output might have you believing that this car is super fast, this isn't the case because of the almost 3 tons weight and lazy gearbox, which excels at smooth shifts, but lacks the ability to execute hurried shifts. The 6-speed gearbox is nowhere near in comparison to the awesome ZF 8-speed gearbox, which is standard in almost all expensive Euro SUVs these days. The lazy gearbox even in Sport Plus mode shifts in an unhurried manner. The V8 diesel too does not love to be revved hard, unlike some of the Euro diesels. Performance is adequate. It does not feel slow, but it isn't neck-snapping either. Driving this car hard on the road is completely missing the point anyways. Low-end and mid-range performance, however, are strong. With medium throttle input, the LX accelerates well and does not require frequent downshifts. The best part about the LX is the high seating position, the super wide cabin and unmatched road presence. For first-time SUV drivers, this vehicle can be intimidating though. I did not expect this monster of a ladder frame chassis-based SUV to be a sporty handler. The loads of electro-mechanical wizardry of Oz, AVS, variable sway bars live up to their promise, but all they can do is reduce the roll when thrown hard and control the nose dive in a surreal way when braking hard. So, even when thrown hard in the twisty roads, the handling was safe plus composed but not sporty. The hydraulic steering is on the heavier side and gains even more weight in the Sport Plus mode. It's the ride comfort which is compromised for regular use. The soft long travel springs and live rear axle make their presence felt all the time. Not even these complex suspension systems can hide the imperfect ride quality. That constant up and down movement, which is a trademark of these ladder frame SUVs, is very much present. It becomes bothersome especially when you drive it back to back with any Euro crossover. The bounce, however, is well contained. I got to drive this car for a very short period of time on twisty hill roads, so cannot comment in any more detail about drive dynamics. I am curious to see how this SUV behaves on bad roads, no roads and off the road, the kind of usage it was built for.